A question I get from young designers or aspiring designers often is, how can I get involved in the design industry or a career in the design industry without just being a designer? And one of the most popular routes is becoming a sales rep. In today's video, I sit down with two very good friends of mine to talk about their career journey, how they got into design sales, and how you yourself can get into design sales if you're interested. Hello, my name is KLSY and I'm the founder and creative director of KLSY, a full-service interior design firm specializing in small and boutique-style businesses. Welcome to our design video series where we sit down with our friends, designers, reps, people in the industry to talk about everything commercial interior design. If you're new to our channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified when we post next. And follow us on Instagram and check out our website at www.klsy.design. There you can sign up for our email newsletter where you can receive more project updates, industry insights, educational content, and even get some of your questions answered. I can feel you guys like staring into my soul.
Sorry.
I don't know where to look.
I don't know where to look, so I'm just staring at you. Yeah, I'm like,
Today, I am joined by my two friends, Sean and Amy from Urban Office. Sean and Amy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
yeah, thanks for having us.
I like saying welcome to the show because I'm kind of fulfilling a childhood dream of having my own TV show.
I love it.
I would do the same thing. Exact same thing.
Before we get into your career journey and what your job looks like, tell me a little bit about Urban Office.
Yeah, sure. So Urban Office, we are a independent multi-line rep group. We represent 10 different lines, anything from architectural to furniture, ancillary goods, custom pieces.
So on a high level, if someone were to ask me that's not in the industry what it is that I sell, I would just say like furniture and architectural brands. But when you break that down, obviously we've got quite a few, as you can see around in our showroom. We have more or less 10 manufacturers that we cover, more so heavy on the furniture side as compared to the architectural side. But we also have acoustic ceilings, we have wall and ceiling systems for the architectural side. We're kind of a one-stop shop, if you will. Yeah. We have a little bit of everything. There's very few things that we can't offer, so we just tell people, like, come in the door, we'll show you around, and you'll get to see pretty much everything that we have.
So you guys say specifically that you are independent multi-line reps. What is kind of the difference between being an independent multi-line rep and just being a manufacturer's rep?
The difference between an independent rep and a manufacturer's rep is that an independent rep is someone who's separate from the actual manufacturer itself. So we represent them, but we're not actually a part of them. A manufacturer's rep is someone that works directly with the manufacturer themselves, so they're salaried by them. When you get in terms of multi-line, that's when it breaks down into how many lines do you represent.
So for example, you guys represent Howe. A Howe rep would solely represent Howe, be employed by Howe, and also sell Howe's products, whereas Urban Office represents multiple manufacturers, and so you guys can kind of represent all of them. You're not pigeonholed to one specific brand or manufacturer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sean, let's start with you. Tell me a little bit about your journey, what you did before this, and how you got involved in the design sales industry.
So I'm from New York. I ended up going to school in Ohio. I went for psychology and communications, so something totally out of this field. After I graduated, I came back to New York, had to be back to the roots.
New York or nowhere?
New York or nowhere, always. So I was at a bank. Totally different.
Not anything to do with design.
Not anything to do with design. Totally bleak, bland. As you can tell, I was not a fan of it. I was miserable. And our good friend Alex at Infinium, one of my besties from college, knew I was looking for a job. She said that Urban Office, both Barry and Christy, our principals, were looking for a new salesperson. And Alex was like, you don't shut the fuck up. I think you have the best personality for a sales role. Interviewed, I really liked them, they really liked me, and the rest is history. I've been here for 3 years now, and I really love it. I can't imagine doing anything else.
I love that. Aww, Sean. So Amy, what's your story? How'd you get here?
So I went to school for interior design. I started in the residential side. I did that for almost a year. I hated it. So when a recruiter had reached out to me for a dealership role, which is on the commercial side, I was like, I have no idea what that is, but I'm so miserable that I'll go for an interview. And so I interviewed with like 4 or 5 different people at the dealership that I was at. And I finally was like, oh, this is an interesting like niche of the industry. And also it's the commercial side. Sounds like I'm gonna make a little bit more money. You know, that's kind of a common theme as well. But my thing with going there was that I really wanted to keep with a creative role because that was, you know, I went to school for design. I wanted to kind of stay on that track. And so I enjoyed that. I did that for 6 years. I think we all probably, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reevaluated our
yes.
lives during COVID.
I definitely reevaluated during COVID, and my friends had always told me that they thought I'd be great in sales. Like friends that were not even in the industry, they were like, I think sales is your thing, you should try it. Been here now for 6 or 7 months, and it's definitely been a nice change of course.
Coming from originally a design background, wanting to be a designer, and now not being on the design side at all, what is that like?
It's
Do you
tough.
miss it?
I do. I definitely miss it. And I think a big part of that too, like I've had a lot of friends that have kind of made transitions out of design. And it's something that we all talk about often because it's like you're hard on yourself about it, you know? Like I feel like I can't call myself a designer anymore because I'm not practicing interior design every day, all day, doing the grueling hours anymore. But I have done it and I have been there, and I feel for my friends in the industry. And also I like being an advocate just to help my friends with whatever that path is that they want to take, because I find that a lot of people like kind of, even though like obviously design is really awesome, but the pay we all know is not generally great and the hours are tough. There's so many things that people don't talk about enough. So I like to have those tough conversations because just because it's awesome and you get to be part of these cool projects doesn't mean that that's where you belong in the industry, you know?
And I think just in terms of like being transparent and talking about the issue of designers just don't get paid enough. And this route is so attractive to people being on the sales side because you can not only make more money, which, you know, we'll get into in a little bit further in the video, but also, like you mentioned, more freedom. You don't have the grueling hours. You're not directly answering to the clients as much.
Totally. And you can still do design, you know, just because you switch to the sales side doesn't mean that you can't do something on the side if you wanted to.
For anyone that has no idea what a sales rep does, what does a sales rep do?
Well, to break it down and make it simple, we are basically the liaison between a manufacturer and the client, whether that's a dealer, a designer, the end user, or an architect. You know, we help manage expectations, we help communicate. Communication is key in our field. We also help, you know, if anything goes wrong, we're the first line of defense. We're giving presentations, we're taking people out to lunch, we are answering emails constantly, we're answering phone calls constantly.
And you guys are the experts in whatever it is you're selling. You know, us as designers, we can't know everything. We can have an overview of things and have a base knowledge, but really it's you guys that we need to turn to for all of the nitty gritty and all those details.
No, that's such a good point because there's also like hundreds of manufacturers that you can be working with, and just going back
So
to
many.
like we're customer service. That's basically what we do, right? And so the better the customer service, obviously, the more following that you're going to have essentially. I think what makes us stand out definitely is that we also represent smaller companies. So they're all like mom and pop shops, essentially. They make quality product, and when something goes wrong, they take care of it.
So with sales reps, it's really important to be knowledgeable because, again, what you were saying before was designers, even dealers might know a broad product, they might know a broad manufacturer, but they don't really know like the drilled down details. So they could reach out to us for, let's say, a table and think one thing suits the space well, but not even know another product exists. And that can also help us get onto projects. That can also just help inform the designer, you know a new product that maybe they didn't even know existed.
I love that. I think speaking from the designer's perspective, I've got my couple of manufacturers that are my go-tos because I know their products well, and if I'm in a time crunch or I just know something works. But if I came to someone like you guys and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a table, you're not just going to give me the same table that I've been using for the last 3 projects. You're going to be like, well, did you know this exists? Did you know that we have this technology and this is that? Like, there's just no way that I could spend the time trying to research all of that on my own. Let's get a little bit more detailed in terms of your day-to-day.
I would say, obviously day to day it varies, right? Same with the designer. It's not all office work. I mean, we do obviously have to send a lot of emails. We're on calls. There's the glamorous side, right? We have a lot of like event planning that we get to do and like luncheons and lunch and learns, I guess I should say.
And lunches.
Yeah, there's lots of foods, usually drinks, but also, we get to go to cool like industry events and things like that. And all of these are ways for us to essentially network. But that can also get tiring too, right? If that's all you're doing is just like the outreach constantly and like constantly taking people out. So it's kind of nice that we have the balance. I think the best part of our job is that we get to, basically entertain our industry friends.
You guys are the ultimate entertainers.
We're like self-proclaimed, like we're the fun. We're the fun group, but it's nice to hear.
In general are the party people of the industry, but specifically you guys are the party people of the industry.
Thank you.
Us if you want to have a good time. That might sound wrong.
Before you mentioned the flexibility, would you say that as a rep or on the design sales side rather than being a designer, you have a lot more flexibility in your schedule?
Completely. Yeah. We're not necessarily 9 to 5. I mean, with that said, obviously, we kind of have to always be reachable. Like even if we're on vacation, I mean, obviously you want to make sure that your project timeline is staying on track. And if someone's contacting you because there's an issue or whatever the case is, you need to be able to be reached.
Something else that's, really vital, I think, with reps is just connections are key. I mean, your connections are everything. If you don't have connections here and you're not networking, you're not doing anything. So you have to get out there constantly. You have to give presentations. You have to get your products in front of people's minds. I mean, they're seeing hundreds of products a day. So what's going to make my product stand out? It's going to either be me building the connection with you, or it's going to be you really like the product and it's just in front of mind. So I think for reps, they really have to keep that in mind that, again, reiterating, connections are everything.
Those connections are you're right, are super vital.
Yeah.
Let's get into some pros and cons of your job. And I want to start with pay, because I think this is a topic that we kind of mentioned before. It's something that is kind of known in our industry, but no one is really putting it out there. No one's really openly talking about it. And one of the reasons why I wanted to create this series is so that we can have more open conversations, and hopefully those conversations create change, or at least create awareness for people that are interested in a career within this industry, whatever that may look like.
I mean, the nice thing is we do get a base salary, and then basically how hard you work is how much more you're going to make, because we get commissions as well. So it's really nice, because coming from the design side, obviously, like you work your butt off and you generally make the same amount, and then you get your raises annually or your bonuses, but it doesn't ever really equate to how much work you're putting into it. For us, the more work we put into it, the more money we're going to make. And ultimately, this is kind of a family environment. Obviously, you can tell we're very close. Dynamic duo, as we say. Anything that I do for the company ultimately benefits him as well.
You guys are on the same team. It's not a competition, it's team.
Yeah. Which for me was a huge part of why I wanted to come to this company, because it's a big change and it can be scary, obviously, financially and a lot of other things too. I wasn't sure if that was the right move. And I also loved my old team. That was a hard thing for me to break up with them, essentially. So having that family and now having this family has been a really awesome change for me.
For younger people, or even people thinking of a career change, deciding what is more important to you. Are you a really hard worker, go-getter, that you want that increase of pay with the increase of hard work, or do you enjoy that security of the 9 to 5? What's another pro of your career?
I feel like Amy touched upon this before, but definitely flexibility. When I was in my banking job, it was very mundane. I mean, it was the same thing over and over and over again. Here, you have nuances. There's something new that happens. Hey, maybe it's not the best thing. Maybe there's a problem on a project, but maybe you get to go there. You get to be on site. You get to go out, meet people for lunch. You're back here answering emails. You're doing a presentation. There's just so much going on. It's so dynamic. So I think that's really exciting.
Are there any cons of your job?
There are many, many pros to our job. There are cons, as with any other job. One I would definitely say is you have to kind of create your own self-structure. So both Amy and I, coming from really corporate backgrounds, we had that structure kind of built in. That doesn't sound like it's that hard, but if you're not used to that, it is something that it's baby steps getting there, making sure you're answering things on time, building time for lunch, presentations. Another thing I would say is, though we do sometimes seem like we live a lavish life, we have an expense account. We get to take people out, do fun things. You're working outside those normal business hours a lot. And I have to be answering emails. I have to be on constantly. You can't really have a bad day as a rep. You're kind of, like you said before, the life of the party in a sense. So, you always want to be on. You don't want to be a bad time. But overall, I think the pros definitely outweigh.
So what would be your advice to someone that was interested in pursuing a career in the design sales side?
I mean, I think number one, a lot of people told both of us that, you should be a salesperson because you're people persons.
That was right, but that just made me
I know, it just sounds weird. So I feel like that was almost like manifested for us in a sense. But at the same time, I think it's something that you want to approach with like any job or interview, that I always approach an interview as if I'm interviewing them. Because at the end of the day, it needs to be the right fit for you too, right?
Would you say that passion plays a role in the job that you select or the manufacturer that you want to work with?
Absolutely.
Just like if, someone is more passionate about being a hospitality designer versus a residential designer versus a commercial designer.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people say like in sales, if you're a good salesperson, you can sell anything, but why would you want to just sell anything? I don't want to sell something boring. I can get behind these products that we sell, and I've always purchased them being on the other side. I always liked them and working with them before. So it almost seemed like an easy decision for me.
I mean, you guys get to sell interior design products, not like toothbrushes.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
They're
A little more
interesting
fun.
to look at.
Yeah.
They're interesting to look at. They're cool. Being in this job now, I've always liked design, but I've appreciated it so much more. And one other last bit of information is, to be a rep, you definitely have to be a go-getter. Other jobs, you get a salary and you can coast if you want. You could do, I forget what they're calling it now, quiet quitting.
What are the kids calling it these days?
You can't really quiet quit as a rep because, again, you have to be out there making connections. So you have to have a little oomph in the job. You need some passion behind it to bring it back to that.
Well, and also this is a really small industry, even though it doesn't feel like that. Like obviously we're in New York City, it's a huge city, but it really is a small niche industry, and
That is so true.
it's always going to come back to you. So you always want to make sure that you're saying the right things or doing the right things when you are leaving your job. You're probably still staying in the industry, going somewhere else. You never know when you're gonna run into such and such person or work with them again. So
That is so true. Even amongst like designers and reps, people
Totally.
are always shuffling around.
it's incestual, I say.
Well, on that note, do you guys have any final thoughts? No, great. I want to, first of all, thank you guys so much for being here and for, opening up about your career journey. So if someone needs to contact their local urban office rep or they're interested in any urban office products, how can they do that?
So there are numerous ways to do it. One I would definitely say is our website, which is www.urbanofficeny.com. You could also reach out to us on Instagram at urban_officeny. And then another way you can is, say there's a certain manufacturer, we'll say Emico, for instance. You can go on their website. They have a section that says find your local rep, and we're actually on there as well.
Okay, this was definitely a very exciting and fun video. We had lots of laughs and a lot of stuff that I need to cut out. This video, like I said, is going to be like a quarter of the length, and the other 3/4 is simply going to be a bloopers video. So if you want to know when we drop our bloopers version of this video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell to be notified every time we post a video. I'm sorry, I'm still crying a little bit. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at KLSY.design and check out our website, www.klsy.design, to sign up for our newsletter. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Woo! Woo! I was expecting that to go.
No.